Can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, and then if you can hear me.
Mother Nature delayed us by an hour, but we have a clash that should make the wait worth it tonight at Lynn Family Stadium as Louisville City FC hosts Loudoun United. Happy to have you along this evening alongside the former pro and current MLS Academy coach Chris Nurse. I'm Joe Malva. We start tonight with a look at the standings brought to you by PowerNet. Chris, these are two teams right now entrenched in playoff races. Loudoun in the 8th spot, Louisville in the 5th spot. And while teams have maybe surpassed Louisville in some ways this year, and they're not the same team of years past, Chris, they're in a spot right now, punching distance from the top, and it's because of an unbeaten run in the last 3 games.
Yeah, I think their defensive stability sets them well going into the next few games. If they can start to convert some of the chances that they created, I think we can see them at the top of the table before the end of the season.
And at the end of the day, you know this team is one that has a championship DNA, and as they get healthy, as they get into a rhythm, they can make some noise in the second half of the year.
Yeah, and the problem hasn't been the chances created. The problem's been converting those chances. Defensively, they've been solid. Still one of the best defensive teams in the league, breaking records for themselves. But offensively, they've created chances, just lacking a little bit of confidence in front of goal. And once that comes, I think you're again looking at a team who can compete for the championship.
On the other side, Loudoun has made a lot of improvements from last year to this year. We'll show you the last 2 years through 19 games. A look at their record and their points. Missed the playoffs both times. This year, 19 points. They're 8th in the East, and they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I think however you weigh it up, is two teams that have completely different objectives. Louisville City, every year, they're tying for #1. They want to be #1 team in the conference. Loudoun, on the other hand, they're a team who wants to go through the playoffs and try to win a championship going by a different group. So right now they're in a position where they can achieve their objective, but they need to continue to pick up points because they're sitting right on the edge of those player positions right now.
We'll take a look at tonight's player profile presented by Commonwealth Credit Union. There's been so much turnover this year for Louisville because of the injuries throughout the season, but Sean Tosh gets the spotlight tonight because, Chris, it's his 200th appearance in USL for Louisville, and he hasn't missed a minute this season.
Yeah, and I think you have to give him a lot of credit. It's very hard. Some people underestimate how hard it is to make 200 appearances. It really speaks about his character as a player, being able to withstand injuries, but the impact he's had. He's probably the best goal-scoring centre-back that we have in the league, and his team, his head coach, Danny Cruz, always talks about his impact that he has as a goal-scoring centre-back, his leadership, and his ability to keep the clean sheets he has for this team in defence.
And he'll be tasked with defending Jackson Hopkins in defending the clean sheet tonight. Hopkins has been tremendous since coming on loan from DC United.
Yeah, a really exciting player when you look at his size, his physicality, but he also has great feet and great awareness. This is a great young talent. Everybody's excited to see how he progresses.
Well, we had to wait an extra hour for it, but some things are worth the wait. It's Louisville City FC and Loudoun United coming up next from Lynn Family Stadium. Louisville unbeaten in the last 3. Loudoun coming off a big win to begin the week. We'll see how things go tonight. It's Louisville, it's Loudoun, it's next.
And the whole world is wondering, what's it going to take to stop this U.S. team?
Easy, love. We mark Alex. What about Rose? Or Trinity?
Poor bloody Rapino.
Rapino scores!
We could get younger players.
They already did that.
We have veteran experience.
Listen to what you're saying.
That's world class.
Their flights could get canceled. Seriously?
We can steal their place.
I got it. We go back in time and stop them from ever playing soccer. It's a great game. You'll love it.
Wait, are you just describing the plot of Terminator?
What's it going to take to stop this U.S. team?
They're faster, slower.
Play with passion. Je ne sais quoi.
I mean, the entire world is going to do whatever it takes to stop the U.S.
Good luck with that.
When we win,
You win.
we're partnering with Wendy's to celebrate all Lou City and racing wins with a free small Frosty.
No purchase necessary.
Simply go to any participating Louisville area Wendy's the day after a win. Show the club's social media posts featuring Wendy's and claim your free small Frosty.
Enjoy this Wendy's treat after every Lou City and racing win.
Take a look at tonight's starting lineups presented by Breeze Airways. We begin with the Louisville side. Danny Cruz makes a couple of changes, mainly up top. Cam Lancaster back in the 11, and now McCabe makes his first start this year since the season opener.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the key to the success of this team is going to be the continuity with the back four and obviously the goalkeeper. They've been phenomenal so far, but now Danny Cruz is challenging his front five, his front six players. Can they go on and convert chances? They've not had a problem creating. Converting has been where they've had problems. Obviously, they're missing Ownby tonight, who's a real attacking threat on that flank. It's going to be interesting to see how they adapt.
On the other side for Loudoun United, also brought to you by Breeze Airways. Jackson Hopkins, the big addition into the 11. But up top, Zach Ryan and Tommy Williamson have been a dangerous duo. Ryan with 8 goals on the season.
Yeah, I think right now, if we're looking at the screen, it looks like a 3-5-2. But I think knowing the way that Louisville City do a great job of possessing the ball, it's probably going to look more like a 5-3-2 in terms of as the game plays out. But it's going to be interesting to see. We spoke about Morris coming in, having a positive impact. He wants to earn minutes. He wants to prove that he belongs in the first team at DC United. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players go out and compete tonight.
Well, appearance number 200 for Sean Tosh in USL for Louisville. Precedes Louisville, was with Rochester for a couple of years, won a title there. But now appearance number 200 in the purple. It will be Loudoun left to right in the red, Louisville right to left in the purple, and we're underway from Lynn Family Stadium. Happy to have you along this evening with Chris Nurse. I'm Joe Malpa. Past the halfway point now of the 2023 USL Championship season. And a big one tonight for Louisville and Loudoun in their respective playoff pushes.
It'll be interesting, Joe, to see how the weather that we've just had impacts the game. Sometimes after you get a lot of rain like that, it can be really humid, but one thing's for certain, it's going to make the surface a little bit slicker, so the focus is going to have to be just a little bit higher.
Tommy Williamson already pushing that back line for Loudoun. We had a chance to chat with Ryan Martin, the head coach of this Loudoun side, and we knew coming in that their MO would be attacking the center backs, using their pace with Sharpie and Tosh, 2 older guys who are a little bit heavier footed on the back end. Despite how veteran they are and how strong they are defensively, they know they have the speed advantage tonight, Loudoun.
Yeah, and Ryan Martin also spoke about how they need to be wary of the deliveries from wide areas for Louisville City. They do a great job of attacking down the flanks, getting balls into the box, and then getting late runners to hopefully convert those chances. Converting chances has been where Louisville City has struggled so far this season, despite being very good defensively and still just 5 points off from the top of the table. They've not been as clinical or ruthless in front of goal as they may have liked. But if they're able to make that happen before the end of the season, I think you're looking at legitimate championship contenders.
Abdul Zane makes his 12th start of the year tonight for Loudoun on that left side. All the way back to Dane Jacobin, who's wrestled this #1 keeper job away from Hugo Farrell. Split time for a little while there. Jacobin, the starter of late. Elijah Winder. Gibson back for Tosh. Only player again this year so far to have not missed a minute for Louisville, and that includes the goalkeeping as well. Amadou Dia on this left side with Mushagalusa. Uses that option. Mushagalusa blows by Santos. Husu Landry comes back to help. Now McCabe. Cross for Jimenez. Now Tellefson. This is positive early on from Louisville.
Mushagalusa there, just displaying what he brings to this offense, his willingness to receive the ball and take players on in 1v1 situations.
Now a giveaway in the midfield. Williamson looks to break with Ryan. Ryan, 8 goals, 2 assists on the season. Inside to Landry. Husu Landry ahead. Morris just in the team the last couple of weeks on loan. Back out for Zach Ryan. Jake Morris on loan from Columbus. And a corner coming for Loudoun.
And it's always interesting to see how teams start games after an extended rain delay. Obviously, everything that the technical staff do is prepared for the players to kick off and peak at 8 o'clock. And when you get that extra hour delay, obviously the players have eaten earlier. They get a little bit more hungry. The energy drops down a little bit. So it's always interesting to see how teams start after a long delay to the game.
Morris delivers the corner, loose in the box before it's headed away by Lancaster. And now further away by Tellefson. Landry and Dia flicks it along, out for another corner. I want to remind you that Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering lives in the communities they serve since 1951. To learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com. This is a Loudoun side that's so dangerous in transition. They want to turn you over in the midfield. They want to be direct in the approach after winning it high up the field. On their best day, they've competed with and beaten some of the best teams in this league. On their worst day, they've lost to some of the lesser teams in this league. Consistency has been the problem. Just look at their last 6 games. 3 wins against teams in the race for the 8th seed. 3 losses against top teams in the East. Morris goes short. Now Santos. Something off the training ground that hasn't quite worked out the way they wanted. Backed into a corner here, and Santos works it centrally.
Yeah, I don't think that set piece worked out quite as efficient as they would have liked. Ended up being a 3v3 possession exercise in the corner when they had the opportunity to get the ball into the box.
In this stretch, this Loudoun side, they went ahead and lost against Birmingham, Tampa, and Charleston, but wins over Hartford, Miami, and Tulsa. So they've beaten the teams battling around that 8th seed that they should beat. They've lost to the teams higher up the table. But they've contended in each of those matches. Not going to be an easy one for Louisville tonight.
Yeah, and you can see a pattern that's creeped in with Louisville City, where they've dominated games, they've dominated possession, but they've left it after 90 minutes with either 1 point or sometimes even losing the game. You could say they deserve better, but at the end of the day, the game is about converting chances. And if they don't convert those chances, then at the end of the day, they get what they deserved. In terms of possession and play, yeah, they're solid. You cannot knock them for that. Their style of play, their resilience, the mentality of the team. But they have to make that final piece in the final third click. They have to find that resiliency, have to find that ruthless, that killer instinct to convert the chances if they're really going to go ahead and push to be champions this year.
They were happy with the performance last time out, the 0-0 draw against Pittsburgh. And speaking with Danny Cruz, felt like it was a game where it was Pittsburgh who escaped with the point rather than Louisville. Felt Louisville had the better of the possession, the better of the chances, were hard done on a non-penalty call that they felt was blatant. And going even back a couple games prior when they tied Phoenix 2-2, they were on the wrong side of a couple of penalties that made it 2-2,
yeah.
A win in between there. So unbeaten in 3, overall happy with the performances, especially in spite of some of the injuries they've had to deal with and the rotations to the lineup.
Yeah, I think what Danny Cruz has done a good job. He's done a good job of identifying that, they've had some decisions against them. The referees had some missed calls. But I think he's taken accountability that they're in control of their own destiny because they've missed so many clear-cut chances that they should have converted. And that's the reason why they're probably not sitting top of the table right now, is just because they haven't been clinical in converting their own chances. And I think recognizing that and taking accountability for it and looking at areas where they can change and improve on that is going to be the key for them improving going forward.
And they hope Niall McCabe there, who commits the foul, could help things offensively tonight. It's his 6th appearance of the season, his first start since the season opener. Creative player in the attacking side of the midfield. Had 3 goals, 5 assists in the limited time he had last year. Just 16 appearances because of injuries and illness. Hasn't been out there often the last couple of years for Louisville, but when he has been, he's been a difference maker offensively. Knocked down for McCabe. Tosh from Jimenez. Looking for the ball was Elijah Winder. It's found by Husu Landry. Jackson Hopkins leads the way for Loudoun. Hopkins goes for a goal! And it's punched around the post by Zemla.
Obviously, we spoke about Hopkins being the player to watch for Loudoun. Does ever so well here. Great first touch, drives into space. You see he's got his head up here. He has a good first touch here and just tries to pick the corner. Keeper does ever so well there to get down and push it away, but that's a threat of what Hopkins does for this team. He's a player who can pick up the ball in the final third, drive, take players on, commit defenders, and get good strikes off on goal.
8 clean sheets this season for Oliver Zemla. A .69 goals against average and a save percentage at 73. He's been outstanding for Louisville. From the corner, it is kept in by Dia. He's going to have a chance at the all-time clean sheets record in a single season at this current pace. Zemla record is 15 back in 2018, set by Maxime Crepon, now of LAFC. So 18 games to go, and he needs 7 clean sheets to tie, Zemla.
Yeah, and we spoke about the surface being difficult based upon the weather. That shot may have looked straightforward, but after it skidded off the ground, it picks up speed. So Zemla's done ever so well to get down and anticipate where that ball was going to land and push it away. It wasn't as straightforward as it looked. The surface definitely makes it a little bit more tricky.
He could be the first rookie to lead USL in shutouts since 2014. Cam Lancaster up the right side for Telefsin, through the middle for Mushagalusa. And that's what you were talking about, Chris. They're creating the chances in the attacking third. They just haven't been as clinical as they need to be in the box.
Yeah, and it's a good run. You can see there's good movement in the final third here. Mushagalusa, he just needs to, the minimum he needs to do is get this on target, make the keeper make a save. Good ball into the box. Just get it on target. Force the keeper to do something. If he drops it, one of your players is there for a tap-in. But we don't even hit the target in that situation, Louisville City. This is what head coach Danny Cruz is talking about, having that killer instinct in the final third, being ruthless. One chance, one goal.
10 minutes in, we'll give you tonight's weather report, brought to you by Advanced ENT and Allergy. It's mostly cloudy. It wasn't a couple of hours ago. It was pouring here. That's why we had the 1 hour delay. And knock on wood, we hope that weather remains away for the rest of the evening. Jackaman slips, and you see the effects still of the earlier rainstorms. Particularly be mindful of it as the ball comes down to the near sideline. That has been an issue drainage-wise here at Lynn Family Stadium this season with all the rain. Hopkins picks it up. Williamson turns back for Hopkins, and won by Jimenez.
I wonder how many of these players put on their metal studs when the rain was coming down, knowing that it's going to allow them to have a little bit more grip when they came back out when this game restarted.
Well, players came back out at 8:28 for the warm-ups before a 9:06 kick. And Chris, if you're in those shoes, pardon the pun, didn't mean that, but if you're in those shoes and you're feeling how things are going, what exactly are you basing your decision on to change the studs out or not?
I think he has to look at the flow of the game. You know, as I mentioned, everything in preparation is designed for an 8 p.m. kickoff. Now, when players go back to, when it goes back to 9 o'clock, some players maybe sugar levels are going to drop because they haven't eaten for an expanded period of time. Hopefully the technical staff and the preparation staff take that into consideration, and we're able to give the players nutrition during that break just so that they can be peaking when they go back out for the game. But there's a number of factors that are going to come into play now. Injury, of course, being one of those. Once players warm up, cool down, have a little extended break than they weren't expecting, sometimes that can also make players vulnerable for injuries.
Zemla was off his line. Zach Ryan tried to make him pay for it. Looks back down at the grass where he shot it. Again, you're just wondering what it's like right now for these guys, and to your point, if they switched out the studs or not when they came out to warm up, went back in, get changed for the kickoff. Maybe they swap them out at halftime, depending on how these first 45 go, once they find their footing.
I mean, I always like to wear metal studs, not just because of the surface, but the impact. Not that I ever tried to connect to anybody's physical.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
Intentionally, but you know, I always felt a little bit better when I played in metal studs compared to rubber studs.
And note to self, never go into a challenge with Chris Nurse. Amadou Dia up the left side has some space, and it's out for a throw. Year-old now, Amadou Dia, 16th start of the season. Had a career-high 8 assists last year, only 2 this season. And that's a common theme throughout the roster for Louisville. Whether it's goals, whether it's assists, players' numbers down from last year. You expect that for a team who has only 16 goals in 16 games. If you're averaging 1 per game, your numbers aren't going to be all that high.
And of course, this Louisville City roster has a balance of players who have a lot of MLS experience as much as USL Championship. Dia being one of those players.
McKay back post, had 3 purple jerseys there. And it's out for a goal kick.
Dia being one of those players with MLS experience. But this is the benefit of sometimes having a right foot player out on this left side flank. Gibson does well here with a curve turn, plays it out wide. McCabe here just cuts in on his right, whips it into the box. Defender does well there to challenge. I think it's Turner there who's able to get enough pressure on the ball there to head that away.
Turner has just come back from injury recently for Loudoun. Foul goes against Louisville. We talk about the injuries on this Louisville side, and how, as players come back healthy, they're primed for another contending run. You could say the same for this Loudoun side as they push for whether it's the 6, 7, or 8 seed. The way it looks right now, Bryce Washington, Giannis Learman, Cole Turner, all guys on that back line who have missed time. Learman back starting tonight, Turner back starting tonight. Bryce Washington's not far away. They've had guys who have been plucked back by DC United, while Hopkins cycles back in from DC United. So they've had their roster woes too. Given away by Jackman. Here's Elijah Winder coming in alone over the bar. A gift from Jackman. And Winder leaves the mistake unpunished.
And again, this is, you can sense that frustration and lack of confidence in front of goal kicking in. 2 fantastic chances. This one is almost a gift given to Winder. Again, fails to make the keeper make a save. He has all the time in the world here to pick his corner, at least hit the target, blast it over the crossbar. And this has been Danny Cruz's frustration. It's not been defense, it's not been the lack of creating chances, it's been the lack of converting chances.
And Cam Lancaster wanted that square ball across. Seemed to be open. Winder had made up his mind that he was going for goal. I think the veteran who's made quite the name for himself scoring goals in this league in Lancaster might have a word with a 20-year-old the next time they are in each other's vicinity.
And I think the surprising thing is for Louisville City, maybe it's a disappointed season so far, but really when you look at it, it's not that disappointing. They're 5 points off number 1. Their defense has been solid. They've had a number of injuries. If they're able to get players back healthy and they really start to connect in the final third in terms of shots conversion, they're in a great position because defensively their foundation is solid. They're creating chances, not converting, and they're starting to get players who have been out for a substantial period of times, who have been injured, back healthy into the squad. So if all that peaks at the right time, coming towards the end of the season, they're only set to get stronger from a pretty decent position that they're in right now. I tried to talk past Musha Galusa's effort there. I didn't want to repeat the same thing about chances. I just tried to let it go.
Williamson was camped underneath it. Dia flicks it along, but that was another perfect example where they have numbers. They have the seemingly promising attack in transition as Landry commits this foul, and it doesn't bear fruit for Louisville. The fans, when Lou City wins, you win. This season, Lou City has partnered with Wendy's to give you a free small Frosty if the boys in purple win. No purchase necessary. Offer is valid the following day after a win. Head to any participating Louisville area Wendy's location to redeem. You get your choice, strawberry, vanilla, or chocolate Frosty. You're picking what?
I think that for Loudoun, 15 minutes into the game, as we expected, it's been a fairly fast start to the game for both teams. And the fact that they're 0-0 15 minutes into the game just allows them to continue to build confidence. Obviously, they're away from home against a very good Louisville City team. Against the fan base, everything is in favor of Louisville City. But just being able to weather that storm is going to build the frustration for Louisville City, not converting chances. And then there's going to be that opportunity that Loudoun are going to get to be able to take the lead. If they're able to be clinical themselves in the final third, I wouldn't put it past another maybe upsetting result we see again here tonight.
Again, it's a Loudoun team that has competed with some of the best in the league this year. They had their rough patch because of the injuries and a very shallow roster at the time. They've come out of that. They've won 3 of the last 6, and the 3 losses came against 3 of the best teams in the East. Tampa Bay, Birmingham, and Charleston. Free kick on the way for Louisville.
We've seen Louisville City here at home a few weeks ago against Tulsa, where they completely dominated the game, created numerous chances, but weren't able to convert, and Tulsa ended up running away and stealing the game in the last moments, converting the chance that they had. And you know, there's glimpses of history repeating itself again tonight with the chances they created in these open 15 minutes and being a little bit scornful in converting them.
First 5th-3rd free kick of the night for Louisville. They go short. Musha Galusa picks up his hand, looks for the options in the box to the end line. Forced that way by Landry. A lot of contact there, but cleanly won by Husu Landry, and a goal kick on the way.
Yeah, there's definitely been glimpses of Musha Galusa getting the better of Santos on this side of the field in the opening 50 minutes. 1v1 situations, he's taken them a number of times. Bailed out there by Learman coming across, but the matchup right now between Musha Galusa and Santos is heavily in favor of Musha Galusa. Just needs a better final product once he gets past him.
Zane keeps in. One of the brighter young players for this Loudoun team that this year has had more of a chance to step between the lines, not as beholden to DC United as in years past. Won by Hopkins. Jackson Hopkins drives it forward, has an option to his right. Coa Santos now. Dangerous ball on the ground, and Wes Sharpie has it covered. Santos curls one near the penalty spot. It's there for Ryan. Whenever they've had a chance to go forward, Loudoun, they've found the creases in that Louisville back line and have generated some chances. That was their 4th shot of the evening already.
It's a great opportunity there for Loudoun. Ryan just slices. You can see when he strikes this ball, if he hits it cleanly, he has a chance, but he just slices it, goes completely wide and high. Seems to get his head over that ball, drive it low and hard on the slippery surface. It's going to skid into the back of the net, but just connects with it all wrong. That's a big let-off there for Louisville City.
Sent long in the vicinity of Tellefson. It's a quick turnaround for Louisville. They're home this Wednesday night against Pittsburgh. $2 beer night and hot dogs in the fan zone from 6:30 to 7:30. You also get a bucket hat. So plenty of reason, aside from the play between the lines, to be at Lynn Family Stadium come Wednesday. Minutes in, both teams with 4 shots each. Loudoun 2 on target, Louisville just the 1 on target. But Louisville will regret a couple of the chances they did not put away off of Loudoun giveaways.
Yeah, it's been a fairly open game considering the circumstances. End to end, both teams having their fair share of chances.
Hopkins has one of those dangerous shots on target for Loudoun. Goes back for Landry. Possession right now heavily slanted toward Loudoun, 56 of 44. Chris, you asked Ryan Martin ahead of this game, how did he see it playing out? He felt there'd be spells of possession for both teams, but these two teams similar in that regard. You weren't quite sure who would win out on the night possession-wise. So far, it's been Loudoun.
Yeah, you know, he anticipated that Louisville City being at home, being in their home stadium, being the success they had in the organization, maybe would have the upper hand in terms of possession. But he said he did want his team to try to dominate possession ball, to maintain possession ball, to build their attacks. And they've done a good job of that in this opening 20 minutes so far. They've managed to stay toe-to-toe with them. I expect the game to kind of settle down a little bit now in the next 5 minutes, after both teams kind of going gun-ho for the opening 20 minutes, as they start to catch themselves and be a little bit more strategic in how they approach the attack. And now that's going to be interesting to see if the centre midfielders are able to get hold of the ball and start to create, because right now a lot of the attacks have been coming from defenders playing long diagonal passes rather than the centre midfielders being in possession of the ball and picking up for those forward passes.
Here is Hopkins. Ryan Martin said he's so comfortable with Jackson Hopkins in the middle of his midfield, a player he's known since he was 12, coaching him in the academy, watching him come up through the ranks at Loudoun and DC United. So whenever you get some first-team guys from DC United who come here to Loudoun, you don't necessarily get that work rate because some see it as a demotion of sort, but not the case for Jackson Hopkins. Tethered to the hip with Ryan Martin over the last few years. He comes in with a great mentality, and they're very happy to have him around. He's already had an impact, now making his 9th start since his loan from DC United with 3 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah, and Ryan Martin also said the same thing about Jake Morris. He's hungry, he has a point to prove. He knows that his path to the first team is to perform here first and foremost, and that's going to open the door for more first team opportunities. So both players here biting at the bit to perform to their maximum potential, to open doors for them to go forward to the first team. So both players with points to prove.
And Morris on loan from the first team of Columbus Crew is featured mainly in MLS Next Pro. Here's Jackson Hopkins, still with space. Hopkins going for goal, had it blocked. They're going to have to start closing to him eventually, Chris. A couple of times now he's had that space, and he has shown he won't think twice about hitting one. Yeah, and he has the quality to hit them too. You've seen on 2 occasions now, his first touch opens up, drives forward. He has no hesitation in taking shots from that distance. And again, the slippery surface tonight is going to make it a little bit more challenging for the goalkeeper. But the defensive midfielders really do need to do a better job of getting closer to him, forcing him to either play backwards or being able to shut down those shots, because right now he's been open for 2 free shots. Free kick on the way for Loudoun. Danny Cruz felt this game would be won or lost in transition. And so far, that has come to fruition. Loudoun's opportunities have all come come in transition off of turnovers. Louisville's best options have come in transition off of turnovers. Neither team yet able to cash in. Koa Santos stands over a set piece. 2 assists on the year for the 23-year-old. Santos drives one to the back of the box. And a foul called against Giannis Learman before they could get anything going offensively. Danny Cruz mentioned he shot a text to Ryan Martin not all that long ago. Just so happy of being able to see what Loudoun has been able to do this year. And Ryan Martin with more freedom to put his fingerprints on this team with the new ownership. Good relationship between both of these coaches. And Danny Cruz just hoped that it wouldn't be a positive result for Ryan Martin on this day, but admiring from afar as this year has gone along.
Yeah, it's also always interesting to hear coaches have complimentary things to say about each other before the games, and then they get onto the touchlines and they're like enemies. But both coaches, head coaches, had very nice, admirable things to say about each other in the build-up to tonight's clash.
Ball for Louisville. Amadou Dia will get it back into play. Mushagalusa been active down this left side early on. He's calling for it at the edge of the box. Amadou Dia seems like he wants to go long, trying to dry off that ball the best he can on the slippery surface tonight. Able to get it, top of the 6, flicked on. Lancaster tries one. Jackman has it.
And I think what's been glaringly obviously on this left-hand side, Mushagalusa being more right-footed, he's taking players on, but he doesn't want to deliver the ball with his left foot, so it's set up for him to come inside and for Dia to overlap on the outside. And I think that's where it's probably been halting a little bit on this left-hand side of the field, is that the ball's just struggled, took a little bit longer to get in.
Lancaster looking for McCabe, but another moment in transition after a Loudoun giveaway.
And there's the low-driven crosses that Ryan Martin was wary about from Louisville City, talking about their ability to get into wide areas and create opportunities by good deliveries into the box. We've seen that 2 or 3 times now in the opening 25 minutes.
We talked to him about the offensive struggles. He said early in the year, the struggle was defensive. They were leaking goals in the early stages, but he felt they overcorrected. They fixed the defensive issues. The stats bear that out. But with that then came some offensive woes, and it's a combination of struggling to create chances on some nights. On all nights, it's been a struggle to finish chances. Just 16 goals in 16 games. Part of it has been that lack of continuity because of the injuries. These guys who had a great rhythm with each other last year haven't been able to get into one this year. At some point, he knows that will click. He knows the confidence will be there. And all it takes is 1 or 2 for these guys to get that confidence back. They just haven't had that breakout evening yet this year. A lot of their wins, especially as of late, have been 1-0 in nature, which he enjoys. All the same that he would enjoy a 3 or 4-1 win. He actually wanted them to get back to winning games 1-0 after that stretch of leaking goals earlier in the season. So we checked that box, but now it's just a matter of when will the goals start coming again.
Great little bit of skill there in the middle of the park there from Hopkins again. We've mentioned his name a few times in this opening 25 minutes. One of the things that has stood out to DC United head coach Wayne Rooney is his consistency. He said that at such a young age, players are very up and down in their performances, but Hopkins has shown an ability to sustain a high level of consistency on a regular basis, and that's one of the things he's been most impressed with.
Jimenez was looking for Lancaster, almost made its way through, and then Tellefson commits the foul. Being asked to settle things down now by our referee, John Matto. And as they've tried to find an answer to the goal scoring and navigate the injuries, Tellefson joining that top line of 3 has been one of the tweaks. He started deeper in the midfield earlier in the year. They felt his quality on the ball and his speed can help lead to a breakout offensively. So he moves up to the top line. Lancaster comes in for Wilson Harris tonight, and now McCabe returns to the midfield. So far, it's still a 0 on the board for Louisville. Only 30 minutes in with Chris Nurse. I'm Joe Malfa. Happy to have you along this evening from Lynn Family Stadium after a 1-hour weather delay. It seems, knock on wood, like we're in the clear weather-wise. Hope it stays that way.
It was interesting. Danny Cruz described July as August as the period in the season when the men get separated from the boys, although it's not quite the business end of the season where it's just about points. You do start to see teams start to creep away, and you can kind of predict who's going to be in the playoff hunt, who's going to be in the #1 position hunt, and who's going to have no chance of making it towards the end of the season. So this is the part of the season where you start to see momentum being picked up by teams. You want to see players start to hit form, so that coming towards the postseason now, you're just tweaking things rather than trying to change too much.
And in this stretch of July and August, starting tonight, it's 7 of the next 10 at home between now and the end of August for Louisville. So in this men's separating from boys portion of the year, they will have 7 out of 10 right here in the confines of Lynn Family Stadium. But trouble here, breaking through. It's Williamson to the end line in front, saved by Zemla. Kept it away from Zach Ryan. Williamson recovers it, keeps the attack alive. Now Zane. Abdul Zane, low delivery. Tosh gets it clear. It'll be a throw for Loudoun.
And also one of the things that you get around July and August is sometimes the fixtures pile up and you can be playing 3 games over the course of 7 or 8 days. Now for a deep squad that's in good form, that can be a positive because that's an opportunity to pick up 9 points in just 1 week. But for a shallow squad that may not have the opportunity to rotate players or so much depth, that can be a problem because of injuries and fatigue, and an inability to rotate players can often lead to substandard results. So it can go either direction.
And for Loudoun, that is the case this week. This is their first of 3 in 7 days. It is technically for Louisville as well. They play Pittsburgh on Wednesday, but their game next weekend at home is a friendly, an international friendly, so they will heavily rotate the squad. For Loudoun, a stretch beginning tonight of 2 on the road. The next one is midweek against Detroit. That's always difficult. And then they are home against Orange County next Saturday. Some of their players are coming back healthy at the right time because Ryan Martin is going to need to make some moves.
And now
it appears as if Louisville is preparing 2 subs already. Serrano and Mogul are both up and ready. 2 subs ready for Louisville a half an hour into the play.
And you can already feel right now how the tempo of the game has slowed down a little bit from the opening 25.
Ball through to Morris. Here's Jake Morris. Knocked away by Tosh. Through just a half an hour that has necessitated or stoked this potential swap.
Yeah.
Told it's going to be Serrano on for Tellefson, Mogul on for Gibson. Really interesting from Danny Cruz early on. Again, neither player seems to have picked up any sort of knock. They're carrying on as normal. A free kick on the way for Loudoun. Here come those changes in the first half. 2 swaps brought to you by Fortnite. Ray Serrano for Rasmus Tellefson, Carlos Mogul for Tyler Gibson.
Shock, a look of confusion there. I mean, no player likes to come off in the first half unless you're carrying an injury. No player. But I think Danny Cruz maybe is making a statement here that he's not happy with what he's seen. We spoke about the balance in possession, Loudoun having maybe the upper hand in terms of possession in Louisville City. And maybe Danny Cruz isn't happy with that and he's not willing to wait any longer. He's willing to make the changes now. But definitely interesting changes. Going to be interesting to see how that impacts the flow of the game. But there was definitely something that head coach Danny Cruz was not happy with from his team.
Free kick from Loudoun. 2 changes already for Louisville. We'll see how that changes what we've seen so far. Morris goes for a goal. He didn't miss it by all that much, considering his distance from Oliver Zemla. That's a confident man on loan from Columbus who wants to leave a mark.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad effort at all. He just didn't dip enough as it was approaching goal. Didn't get enough dip on it to get it under the crossbar, but ambitious effort to say the least. Wasn't as far away as we might have thought.
Can only glean so much from players and their exchange with the coach coming off. Tyler Gibson walked straight past Danny Cruz, it appeared. Rasmus Tellefson, a handshake with the coach. You just wonder why and what's going through the mind. Won't be able to find that out until after the game, of course, but chance now for Mushagalusa. Centrally, he looks for the shot. He earns a corner. It'll be the first corner of the night for Louisville, brought to you by Wi-Fi.
Lehman does a good job of getting down to Mushagalusa here quickly. As you can see, Mushagalusa here lining this one up on his right foot. Just does a good job of closing down the space, getting nice and low and blocking the shot.
short from the corner. Back out to McCabe, near post, save made! Jackman robs Lancaster. The offside flag comes up on the secondary effort from Wes Sharpie. What a stop by Jackman to keep it scoreless.
I was lost for words. Had the offside flag not gone up, and this was actually turned off the line by Sharpie rather than into the back of the net. That's an incredible miss. I think the offside flag has saved him, but it continues the lack of confidence and lack of ability to convert chances for Louisville City. That couldn't get any easier to put into the back of the net, and they still found a way to miss the target. It has to be frustrating for Danny Cruz, to say the least. Even if he's offside, still convert the chance. Show that confidence and that ruthlessness to convert chances inside the 6-yard box, let alone in the final third.
Offside. Lancaster came from an offside position to receive. Here's, maybe it's just me, but even in the 4 or 5 minutes since Danny Cruz made that double switch, it almost seems like they all have an extra jump in their step right now. You wonder if they're looking over their shoulder, wondering if I could be next.
Yeah, exactly. It can go one of two ways. It can either make the team a little bit disjointed because there's changes so quickly in the game, so they didn't really get a chance to catch a rhythm. But it also can make the players on the pitch be like, oh, 30 minutes into the game, coach is making subs. I don't want to be one of those. I need to step it up. So it can go either direction.
Tosh wins it end line. Well done not to concede the corner. Serrano comes on to make his 8th appearance of the season. Has 2 assists to his name, the 21-year-old. He missed some time due to injury, who hasn't this year for this Louisville side. Mogul makes his 11th appearance, 8 of those off the bench for the 20-year-old.
And sometimes we look at the characteristics of strikers, and sometimes their behavior or their mentality may not be the most desired, but having that self-confidence, maybe that little bit of arrogance and self-belief is what makes them so different and allows them to be that unique player that can convert chances. Because I think if you're looking at Louisville City now, you're looking for that striker who has that little bit of confidence, that arrogance, that self-belief, who's always going to convert that chance for you. I think right now, the chances being missed it's lacking confidence, it's lacking self-belief, it's lacking a little bit of arrogance. I think that's the characteristic traits that's missing in the final third to really kick Louisville City on.
That guy has always been Cam Lancaster for this Louisville side. Only makes his 6th start of the year tonight. 12th appearance overall. That's just 1 goal.
Oh. Musha Galuso, I don't know. A little bit of contact. I don't know as much as he made out there. He needed to go down that theatrically, but done well getting the referee to give him that decision.
Another 5th third bank free kick from Louisville. Again, they go short. They haven't been in good areas so far. Winder flicks it along, hoping for Lancaster. Giannis Learman goes back for Dane Jackman. He's had some issues playing out of the back already tonight. He gets this one clear to midfield. Jake Morris picks it up on the left wing. Overlap from Abdul Zane. Morris and Zane back and forth. And they relent now on the attack, all the way back to midfield for Cole Turner.
I've been impressed with how Loudoun United have started this game. We anticipate that maybe they would just come back and try to absorb pressure and limit the amount of chances that Louisville City would create, but they've done a good job of trying to create their own chances, keep possession of the ball, build through the thirds. Morris and Hopkins have been lively in this opening 35 minutes. I think they have a chance, especially if Hopkins keeps finding himself in those little pockets in the center park and driving forward and getting shots off.
They have nearly 60% of the possession, Loudoun. It's not easy to score against this Louisville side. They've conceded just 18 through 16 matches. And you can take that a step further. 11 of those goals were concentrated to games early in the year. More on that in a moment. Diaz sneaks in behind. Offside flag comes up. So 11 of those goals came in just 3 games. 5-0 loss to Sacramento, 3-0 loss to El Paso, 3-1 loss to Memphis. Take away those 3 games, those outliers for this Louisville side, and they have only conceded 7 goals in the remaining 13 games. That's just about half per game, half a goal per game. And you have 8 clean sheets to go with that. It's a very stout defensive side. They have just lacked the attack that has always been there in years past. Otherwise, that's a side that might be higher in the table than they are.
Yeah, and I think one of Danny Cruz's frustrations will be being at home and in front of their home fans. You definitely don't want to be outpossessed by the opponents, especially being the possession-orientated team that they've been. That's been one of their strengths that's allowed them to dominate for such an extended period of time and create the opportunities they have, is that they're able to sustain possession of the ball for long periods of time. And right now, Loudoun have the upper hand in terms of possession in this open half. 42% for Louisville City and 58% in favor of Loudoun. You know, that's not going to be something that Danny Cruz accepts, his team not being able to control possession of the ball and dictate the tempo and flow of the game.
Another offside against Louisville. That's 3 in rapid succession.
But you have to give Ryan Martin credit, because that's one of the areas that he wanted to improve on from last week, was his team's ability to sustain possession of the ball and build through the thirds.
Yeah, just knocks it out right into the crowd. Look out. He apologizes on his way back. Seems like everybody's all right. Danny Cruz, maybe not so much. Not happy with the happenings through 40 minutes. 10 minutes ago, makes a double swap. Mogul comes on, Serrano comes on. Gibson and Tellefson both off. What is it going to take for this Louisville side to finally have that offensive breakthrough? What might it take for Loudoun to stun this crowd that has stuck around after an hour weather delay? Mogul. Another Serrano hustles to win that initially, but it's recovered by Zane.
It's really been a fairly even first half so far. Both teams with 2 shots on target. Both teams with 6 shots in total each. So you might say that Loudoun are actually having a better first half, given that they're dominating possession and tied for chances and shots on target.
Coa Santos. They love what he brings to the table in the attack. It's so far up the right side. It allows them to then create overloads in the midfield, dropping in a player like Hopkins centrally. Jake Morris gives them some more balance, brings the same thing to the left side of the field. With Zane. Forced all the way back for Jackaman. If you're Loudoun and you get this to halftime 0-0 on the road, have to be happy with it, especially when your opponent is showing clear signs of frustration with those 2 first half changes, not due to injury, we've been told. Mushagalusa, well done by Giannis Learman to clear that away.
Two great moments there. Great pass from Dia there to pick the pass in between the fullback and the centre back, but Learman, his anticipation to get across and intercept that was phenomenal. Good attacking play, but also very good defending there.
Here's Mogul. Some results from around the league earlier tonight. San Diego beat Hartford 2-0 on the road. Tulsa beat Indy 1-0 on the road. Out by Coa Santos. Looking back for Jackaman. Clears it out.
What do you make of Hartford, Joe? We expected some big things given the technical changes they made at the beginning of the year, but things haven't quite worked out down there.
It's tough to make changes like that mid-year when you had a plan for one thing and you have to pivot on the fly. And they have continued to struggle. It seems like they're falling off the pace entirely. And then you've got another scoreless draw. Imagine that. in Pittsburgh. It was Pittsburgh against Sacramento. Last week it was Pittsburgh-Louisville, a scoreless draw. A Bob Lilly special, I'd reckon. But they are still one of the best teams in the East. Speaking of best teams in the East, Tampa Bay 3-0 at home against the Oakland Roots. A proper send-off for Neil Collins. On his way to manage Barnsley. He's left his mark on this league. Neil Collins, great rivalry between Tampa Bay and Louisville the last couple of years. We asked Danny Cruz about that move, had a chance to chat the other day, and he had nothing but respect for Neil Collins, said it could not have been a more deserving coach around this league to have that opportunity, and wishes him nothing but the best as he goes over to England.
Yeah, I actually don't envision that's going to be the last we'll see of Neil Collins in the US. I envision that, you know, he'll go to the UK and we'll see him back in the US sometime in the future also, but I think he's been set an example for a lot of head coaches in his success on the pitch. And
Lancaster goes for goal. Jackman has it. It's going to take something inventive or incredible like that maybe to get Louisville in the right direction offensively.
Yeah, ambitious effort. Keeper made it look fairly easy, but they need to push the envelope. They need to be putting the defense under pressure, making the keeper make saves. That's the first time maybe they actually hit the target from one of the shots that they've had. The other two missing the target from easier chances that they probably should have hit the target from some of the easier chances they had.
1 minute of stoppage time brought to you by the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Seems like we're destined for a scoreless score line at the break. Unless one of these teams has something up their sleeve in the next 40 seconds. But should it be 0-0 in the locker room, it would be appropriate of the first 45 minutes that we've seen.
Yeah, I think 0-0 going in at halftime is a fair result. Maybe even 1-1 given the chances that we've seen for both teams. But
Lucia Galusa, one last go of it, plays it across towards Serrano. Lingers in play, and Jackman did well to keep it in and avoid conceding a last-second corner.
I'll be interesting to see the tone or the momentum that Danny Cruz takes to his team, because the frustration of creating chances and not converting them, there's only so long you can relay that to your team in an unfrustrated manner before you read them the riot act. They're doing some good building play. Obviously, the defense has been solid, but in the final third, in terms of being clinical and taking chances, and the attacking players doing essentially why they're selected to do in terms of scoring those chances, they again come up short tonight so far.
That seems like it had been heading this way for a while, but officially scoreless at the break between Louisville and Loudoun. Knew coming into the night that it was nearly a gotta have it for both of these teams given their various positions in the playoff races. Louisville searching for answers in the locker room. Loudoun hanging tough with one of the best in the Eastern Conference. Halftime is brought to you by Breeze Airways. Nice, new, and nonstop. That's the Breeze way. It's Louisville nothing, Loudoun nothing. More to come from Lynn Family Stadium.
Commonwealth Credit Union is growing and hiring. If you have a passion to help others, come check us out. Our mission is to better lives in the communities we serve through financial products and services, leading-edge technology, and a commitment to treat every person with respect. If you'd like to join our team, visit our website to learn more about our extraordinary culture, pay, benefits, and the many more reasons we are voted a best place to work in Kentucky. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Choose your character. Enoch Mushakalusa, Ray Serrano, Manny Perez, Wes Sharpie.
It's game time.
Watch Louisville City FC take on Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC July 12th at 8 on WBKI.
The end of the day has its rewards. The job finished and another list complete. As your workday is winding down, WDRB News takes the lead. With news stories and live updates, bringing you information whenever you need it. WDRB News at 10. This source.
The Bakers are taking big risks to win.
You seem stressed out. What's going on?
When do you ever come here and I'm not stressed out?
All new Crime Scene Kitchen, Monday at 9 on Fox.
Fresh produce is the best produce. That's why at Kroger, we invest in local farmers to bring you the freshest seasonal picks. So no matter how you shop, your local produce always tastes as fresh as it gets. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Boost by Kroger Plus is more than worth it.
Give it to me, I'm worth it.
With 2 times fuel points and free delivery, you can save up to $1,000 per year. Try Boost free for 30 days. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Not a whole lot so far between Louisville and Loudoun. Halftime brought to you by Breeze Airways. Nice, new, and nonstop. That's at the Breeze Way. Have a chance here to look ahead at the upcoming schedule for both of these teams. Chris, you mentioned it in the first half. July, August, that's where these teams begin to separate. And for Loudoun, around that 8 seed, you're looking to separate from Detroit, from Miami. 2 of your next 3 games, 2 of the teams you're directly in contest with.
Yeah, I think this is the test now. If you want to be a successful team, you want to go into the playoffs, you want to win a championship, you've got to beat the best teams. And I think Loudoun, they've kind of set their standards. You know, we want to make it through the playoffs. They're not necessarily going for number 1. So the teams around them, they have to beat. But tonight, they're giving up a very good test to Louisville City, who are a team contending for 1. So I think there's a lot to look forward in these upcoming 5 games for Loudoun United.
And you see there tonight the first of 3 games in 7 days for Loudoun, but they have a 2-week layoff on the back end of that and 3 in a row at home. So positive for Loudoun in terms of the upcoming schedule. It's a nice upcoming schedule for Louisville as well. Have a considerable number of home games coming up, 7 of the next 10 beginning tonight. The big one is Wednesday against Pittsburgh, a rematch of what we saw just a few days ago, a 0-0 draw in Pittsburgh. Now it shifts to Louisville. That should be very entertaining between these 2 teams. If you look further ahead, Birmingham is in direct contest right now with this Louisville side, and that rivalry on the road against Detroit. 3 interesting games coming up for Louisville.
Yeah, we've spoken about Louisville's ambitions, and Danny Cruz is a head coach who wants to be number 1. He doesn't want to accept just getting into the playoffs, and that's how he qualifies for the postseason. He wants to be the number 1 team over the course of the 9-month season, and I think they're not far away from that. Being able to beat Pittsburgh this week will be massive for their momentum, massive for their confidence, and obviously very big for their ambitions of finishing number 1.
Now, when you're Louisville, there's always that target on your back. It's interesting looking at this upcoming schedule. They formed a nice little rivalry with Detroit. They have a great rivalry long-standing with Indy. They formed a nice little rivalry with FC Tulsa. You know you're going to get 3 really good shots from those teams. And then again, Pittsburgh, Birmingham, 2 of the top teams in the East. So a difficult road ahead for Louisville, but one that will be a telling stretch. As Danny Cruz mentioned, and as you mentioned in the first half, men separate from the boys in July and August in this league historically. Very telling stretch coming up for Lou City FC. And a very telling second half coming up between these 2 teams. Scoreless through the first 45. Fans who waited the hour, weather delay, are hoping to celebrate something here tonight at Lynn Family Stadium. More to come. Louisville nothing, Loudoun nothing. You're watching the Breeze Airways halftime show.
Are you ready? Ready for more of the game you love? Ready for more players and more teams? Ready for more stadiums, for more fans in more cities? This is a different league. The USL Super League. Built for the future of women's soccer. Bridging the journey from youth to pro, connected to the global game, and bringing it all closer to home. Are you ready?
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Slide this in behind. Now it comes for Valesky. Tries to leave it there for Gleedle. Sam Gleedle. It's a tap in for Christian Valesky. And Monterey Bay are absolutely flying tonight. Bomasoso. Right through the middle. Johnny Rodriguez. Rodriguez scores! Something out of nothing for the Oakland Roots.
after scoreless 45 between Louisville and Loudoun. We shift our focus away from the happenings here and take a broader look around USL Championship with some news and notes. Chris, we're getting into the dog days of summer. You'd think the news would slow down. Nope. Neil Collins bids farewell. Coach of the year in this league, on his way to Barnsley. Talked about it a bit in the first half, but it means so much for him and it means so much for the league. Yeah, we spoke about his accomplishments as a player, let alone when he transitioned to head coach, but I think he's been exemplary for many, many, many young aspiring coaches and former players of how you transition out of playing into coaching and be successful. I think he's been a role model for many in various aspects of the game. And things are ever changing, of course, in this league. Pittsburgh was unbeaten in 10 coming into the night. Now they're unbeaten in 11 after another draw tonight against Sacramento, and more league action on ESPN2 a week from tonight. Monterey Bay and the Oakland Roots at 10 Eastern on ESPN2. Look at the schedule from around USL Championship. It is busy at this time of year, and it picks right back up in the midweek. Those 6 on the slate for Wednesday night. Any in particular catch your eye? I mean, there's a few. We wonder if Miami FC can actually turn their season around and pick up a little bit of momentum after picking up 3 points tonight. Obviously, we spoke briefly about Louisville City and Pittsburgh midweek, and also Detroit and Loudoun. A lot of close games, rivalries coming up over the course of the next 7 days. Going to be interesting to see how this turns out, as we spoke about the men separating themselves from the boys. Copa Tejas matchup as well between El Paso and San Antonio. A sneaky busy Wednesday night in USL Championship after the last week was rather quiet in the midweek. Some scores from around the league that we've already seen tonight. It was a 2-0 victory earlier for San Diego on the road against Hartford. And then Miami 2-1 over Phoenix as they've tried to make something of their season here in the coaching change. That's a massive result for Miami FC. Yeah, I saw Miami FC last week and they were not that impressive. I actually thought Phoenix were going to run right on them today, but they've been able to turn it around. Obviously some coaching changes, a number of new faces coming in, so it's going to be interesting if that's able to really kickstart momentum for Miami FC. Obviously one of the most storied USL Championship teams that we've had, who have been severely underperforming this year. 3 big points as well for FC Tulsa, and a rout for the Tampa Bay Rowdies of the Oakland Roots. And maybe back to that Miami-Phoenix game, a little hangover for Phoenix after that romp over Memphis on national television just a few days ago. Ripe for a letdown cross-country trip to Miami, and they're on the wrong end of a 2-1 result. Well, we've seen plenty of goals elsewhere tonight except for Pittsburgh, but we're used to that. Well, we see goals tonight in Louisville. Still scoreless right now between Lou City and Loudoun. These fans are waiting for this team to kick it into a higher gear offensively like years past. It just hasn't happened yet. Maybe in the next 45. That brings us to the end of our Breeze Airways halftime show. The second 45 between Louisville and Loudoun is next.
Did you know taking care of your teeth and gums helps control blood sugar levels? A healthy smile means a healthier you. We can help you get there. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com. Did you know taking care of your teeth and gums helps lower your risk of heart attack? A healthy smile means a healthier you. We can help you get there. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
Take a look at highlights from half number 1 between Louisville and Loudoun. Chris, to be honest, there wasn't a ton. There were a couple of moments in transition between these teams where the opportunities were there, particularly on the Louisville side after Loudoun giveaways. But after 45, we're still where we started, scoreless. Yeah, this was the opening 30 seconds of the half here. So a good chance from Williamson, trying to create a little bit of luck for himself, but just wide of the target. And from there, it was Jackson Hopkins pressing into the space, forcing Zemlin to make the first save of the evening. Yeah, there you see the confidence of the young player, so comfortable driving forward with the ball at his feet. He gets a good shot off, but Zemlin, obviously the rock in between the sticks, hits it wide of the target. Best opportunity, perhaps, of this first half for Louisville came in the late stages of the half, and getting there was difficult. You had some service from McCabe, had 3 guys there at the back post, and instead it's over the bar. You had a giveaway mixed in there right here from Jackman, and Elijah Winder should have done better.
Yeah, this was a gift here from Jackman, and Winder at minimum should have hit the target. So much time to pick his corner, at least make the keeper make a save, but he just blasts it high and wide. I would say unlucky, but I'm going to say that's bad finishing.
From there, Louisville tried to turn the heat up a little bit, got lucky on this bounce, threw off the throw in. Lancaster, best he could do was try the overhead, didn't quite come off.
Dia there showing that long-range missile that he can launch in from those throw-ins from areas high up the field, but nothing really came of it.
Take a look at the first half stats brought to you by Pave Masters. The stats will paint an even picture, obviously, in terms of the shots and shots on target, but it felt like Loudoun was in control of most of that first 45.
Yeah, and obviously we spoke about them being away from home in Louisville City's home stadium. Loudoun United dominating possession and control of the ball, creating chances. Something Danny Cruz is not going to be happy at. At home, that he likes to dictate the tempo of play. He likes to have possession of the ball. The one thing he wants them to do is better convert their chances. So it's going to be interesting to see how he tweaks and adapts to give his team the upper hand in terms of possession going into this second half.
A couple of changes to get you right out of the gates. Remember, Louisville made 2 subs in the first half already, with Carlos Mogul and Ray Serrano coming on for Tyler Gibson and Rasmus Tellefsen. They make another one right here to begin the second half. Manny Perez, a like-for-like change at right back with Oscar Jimenez. On the other side, Daniel Chica, a like-for-like swap of the center backs with Cole Turner. So your 2 changes at halftime brought to you by Fortna. Now Louisville left to right in the purple, Loudoun right to left in the red. Scoreless through 45. We've got 45 more to play on what has been a wet evening in Louisville. Delayed by an hour, but now into the second half. Louisville City FC, Loudoun United. Happy to have you with us this evening with Chris Nurse. I'm Joe Malfa. As much as the first 2 subs in that first half for Louisville were maybe statement makers from Danny Cruz, this one a little bit more expected. Both Jimenez and Perez were not quite 90-minute fit, so you just swap them for each other at halftime. And probably a similar story on the other side. Cole Turner coming back from injury for Loudoun United. They don't want to push him too hard. A like for like. Daniel Chica coming in at center back.
And it's always interesting to see how teams adapt their tactics or formations through the course of the game. Loudoun United started this game looking like they were playing a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, but as the game's adapted, looks like they've shifted into more of a 4-4-2 with Ryan and Williamson playing as 2 out-and-out strikers and Hopkins shifting onto the right-hand side of the field.
Such a good duo in the midfield, Loudoun, that flies under the radar between Husu Landry and Jeremy Garay. I don't think I said Garay's name once in the first half, and that's usually a good thing when you're a number 6 in the midfield. And Landry, I had to mention his name a couple of times, and every time it was because he was coming in like a wrecking ball to win it. Mogul, McCabe stand over this free kick. Brought to you by Fifth Third Bank. It will be McCabe. Top of the 6, knotted down and just wide. It was Elijah Winder who had the chance.
Good delivery there from McCabe. Winder just needs to guide this back across goal. Doesn't quite connect with it as clean as he would have liked. Probably jumped a little bit too early to get good momentum on the ball, but great delivery there from McCabe. He's been taking responsibility for a lot of the dead ball situations for Louisville City tonight.
Another matchup just kicked off. Monterey Bay hosting El Paso. And at halftime, New Mexico and Detroit are scoreless. Giannis Learman giving everybody a lesson in tying the shoes. Over, under, pull. I mean, that's the 4th knot he made. I was trying to keep up. He quadruple knotted the cleat. And Jackman will get us going off the goal kick. 22-year-old Dane Jackman making his 9th start of the season. He's been the better of the 2 keepers so far by a wide margin in terms of the statistics for Loudoun.
And I wouldn't actually say Jacobin's been called in to make any phenomenal saves. in his
just the
opening
one
first
at the
half.
near post where Lancaster off of the set piece, but that's about it.
He obviously had that giveaway earlier on in the game that allowed Winder to get the opportunity to have a shot, but he skied it way over the crossbar.
Yellow card issued to Jake Morris. Yellow card is presented by World of Beer. He's lost his footing, came in a bit too clumsily to win it back.
Yeah, I think he should actually be grateful the referee's giving him a yellow card instead of a red there. You see he loses possession of the ball, his frustration, and then he lunges in. Studs are showing pretty high there. I think he should thank his lucky stars. That's not a red card.
I'm with you. That first look, it seemed just clumsy. Second look seemed a lot more rash than initially did. And that's probably what Sean Tosh is having a word with John Matto about right now. A yellow card brought to you by World of Beer for Jake Morris. Mentioned it in the first half. You can see some of the mud patches down here on the near sideline. That has been an issue of late for Louisville. With the weather that's been coming through. The grounds crew for Louisville, one of the best in the league. They have kept this pitch in near immaculate condition over the last few years. Just having some trouble with the weather of late on this near touchline. Keep that in mind as players trudge up and down through the mud patch. Tosh looking over the top. Almost squeaked through for Ray Serrano. Throw coming for Louisville. They have just 2 subs remaining and 2 substitution windows remaining. Paolo Del Piccolo, Dylan Maris, Wilson Harris, all available on the bench. 3 guys for 2 spots. And those 3 guys on a given night, typically starters for this Louisville side as they tried to shake things up tonight.
Of course, and you have to remember the head coach wants to hold back one of those subs for later in the game, just in case anybody goes down with an injury or cramp. So he may not be able to use them all tactically as he may envision. He has to hold on to one of those to maybe the last 10 minutes just to ensure that he doesn't leave his team short-handed too early.
And it's nothing new. Let's not forget that up until a couple of years ago, you were only allowed 3 subs in this sport. So those 2 subs in the first half, the luxury subs, if you will, for Danny Cruz. But he will have to navigate carefully now in the second half because he burned those 2 in the first half. Meanwhile, Loudoun still with all 3 sub windows remaining and 4 changes at their disposal. Cruz happy that this is coming the other way for a Loudoun throw. Abdul-Zane goes back for Daniel Chica. Well, fakes it, goes up the field. Landry battling Winder. Cam Lancaster finds a way through. It's Carlos Mogul, saved by Jackman. Well done by Lancaster to create the chance. Mogul, an unlikely goal-scoring option. Struck it well. It's out for a corner.
Lancaster does well to keep this active. It looks like he's going to lose possession of the ball, but he does well. Mogul, the diagonal run, does well to get his strike on there. Jackman does well there to parry that one away.
5-5 corner kick for Louisville. McCabe will deliver. McCabe near post, flicked out, saved off the line, and put in! Cameron Lancaster cleans up and makes it 1-0 Louisville.
Finally, Louisville have broken the curse they have. It starts great delivery here from McCabe. Great run to the near post from Sharpie, who directs his header on target. And Lancaster just hanging at the back post, one of the easiest goals he'll score in his career, able to convert this charge for Louisville City. And you can see the release of frustration from this team. So many chances created and a lack of conversion, and finally somebody's able to turn the ball into the back of the net. Lancaster gives his team 1-0 lead.
for a man who has been a machine for this team. Just one goal coming into this evening. Has his second goal of the season. It's his 77th in his USL Championship career, and it is 1-0 Lou City.
It ends with Lancaster, but it really starts with that great delivery from McCabe. Sharpie making a near post run, well connected with the header, and then the keeper just parries it to the back post for Lancaster to convert. He really had no option but to put that into the back of the net. It would have been harder to miss than to score. Louisville City now find themselves 1-0 in the lead.
Goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery. Wilson Harris has been the main starter. Cameron Lancaster gets the look tonight. It's a pretty nice break glass in case of emergency option to have if you're Danny Cruz. And the talisman for this club, who has gotten it done time and again, answers the call again tonight.
And that could be the catalyst he needs. Sometimes strikers just need that first goal, and then they go into this zone where they just can't stop scoring. Hopefully that's what it can become for Lancaster, and he finds that ruthlessness, killer instinct back, and is able to be the guy that they need in the final third for Louisville City to really give them that killer instinct in the final third.
10 minutes into this second half. Louisville playing from a familiar position now with a 1-goal lead, up 1-0. It's been a recurring scoreline for them in their victories this season. Can they find a way again here tonight? And can Loudoun battle back on the road? A young team hungry to make the playoffs after struggling over the last couple of years. This is a night where maybe you grow up a little bit. Can you salvage a result on the road?
It's going to be interesting to see how Loudoun are able to react. Their effort has been unquestionable, but unfortunately you don't get points for effort, you get points for execution. So at some point they've got to create chances and they've got to convert if they're going to lead this game with anything. Otherwise it's going to be a lost game where, yeah, they worked hard, they tried really hard, which is the expectancy for every team, but they've got to put points on the board.
Zemla waited a bit too long for maybe the liking of some of the fans.
Making the game a little bit more exciting than it needs to be.
Morris on a yellow card. Gives it away. Winder gave it right back. Here's Morris. Picks his head up. Morris looks for an option. Throw coming.
You can just see a little bit of fatigue creeping in with some of the players on the pitch now.
Whipped in by Zane. Tosh the first to it.
If you just look at the reactions, the body language when they're transitioning to defense, some players on the pitch just look like they don't have the legs to do it right now. So I think it's only going to be a few moments before we start seeing Ryan Martin make some changes in his team. And there we see Lancaster start to exude a little bit more confidence as the game kicks in. I think that goal was giving them a little bit of momentum now.
I wonder what might have been said in the locker room, because Lancaster came out with just a fire in his belly. You even go back to that first chance of the half where he spun through 3 defenders and set up Carlos Mogul, then the goal, then what you just saw. He looks like a man possessed that we didn't quite see in the first half.
Yeah, he's definitely been a lot more lively in the touches that he's had on the ball in the opening 10 minutes of the second half.
In the live table, this keeps Louisville in 4th place. 2 points back of Charleston, 3 points back of Pittsburgh, and 5 points back of Tampa Bay. Louisville has a game in hand on all 3 of those teams, excuse me.
And this could also be Louisville City's opportunity to build their own little winning streak. We spoke about Pittsburgh and their 10-game unbeaten streak. This would take Louisville City to 4 games unbeaten, which is obviously the kind of momentum that they want to be carrying.
Serrano looking inward. And the whistle goes against Louisville. We spoke with Danny Cruz at length about this, Chris. They're in a spot coming into tonight where they were 5 points off the top, had a game in hand on all those teams, through all the injuries, through all they've had to navigate having only lost just 4 of those first 16 games. All the talk around this team had been of doomsday, not by any means the case. Players are getting healthy. This marks the midpoint for them, match 17. They're in a terrific spot, and their position could be improved here by Serrano. Looking for Mushagalusa, earns another corner.
I would say that Lancaster's come out with a little bit more fight in him in the second half. We spoke about the chance that was created earlier for Mogul, but if you look at this ball, he doesn't have it under great control, but he competes, he fights, he battles, and he manages to create an opportunity for one of his teammates higher up the field. So I think definitely his willingness to come out and compete and be a little bit nasty and fight has definitely been showing a little bit more in this second half.
5-5 corner kick for Louisville. Hoping to add to their tally. Cam Lancaster, 5 minutes ago, the opening goal. McCabe, loose in the mix for Tosh. Lays it back. Dia feeds McCabe for a secondary ball in at the near post. It's flicked over the bar and out for a goal kick.
McCabe with those Beckham-esque deliveries from corners and crosses, creating opportunities for his team. Again, another dangerous corner delivered into the box. It bounces in the box. Anybody taps it into the back of the net, and they're 2-0 in the lead, but McCabe has been extremely dangerous from those deliveries.
Set long for Jackson Hopkins, has some options. Hopkins floats it towards Zach Ryan. Tosh knocks it away. Serrano gets it further. Loudoun preparing another change. It'll be Wesley Leggett for Tommy Williamson.
But we spoke briefly about, potential doomsday conversations that Louisville City have been having by not repeating the form that they had last year. But last year they broke so many records. It was always going to be hard for them to repeat that this year, because other teams will start to figure them out. They'll plan for what they do well. They'll plan to exploit their weaknesses. So it was always going to be a tough ask for them to repeat what they did last year. But they're there and thereabouts again this year, despite not being as clinical in the final third. Defensively, solid. You can look at the back four, the goalkeeper, how they're playing in this game, how they played so far this season. You can see there's potential to grow and improve. In the final third, if Lancaster catches fire or any of the attackers catch fire, they're going to be a huge, huge, huge problem for the rest of the league.
Danny Cruz has, I would say, the proper mentality in approaching it. It's a hungry club that always wants to strive for the best, but they know with the hand they've been dealt this year, they've had to just find a way through. Stay in the hunt and play your best now in the second half.
And I think he sets his standards high. He's not content with finishing 8th and just squeezing himself into the playoffs. He wants to be number one. He has the...
Perez turns the corner. Here's Lancaster. Oh, you don't see him miss like that too often. The hard work done by Perez. Lancaster still left frozen like a statue in the aftermath of his miss. Should have been 2-0.
Yeah, I think Lancaster had a great opportunity to really stamp his authority on this game. Could he have gone with the right foot? Could he have opened out on his left foot and got to the opposite corner? I think the choice of finish at the final moment maybe wasn't the most idealistic, but again, finding himself in the right space at the right time, a good delivery, but that repeating instances of Louisville not converting chances is reaping again. We spoke about changes. Head coach Ryan Martin gone to his bench now to try and inject some energy into his team.
Jake Morris also comes off for Khalil El-Medkar. All subs brought to you by Fortna. One by Winder. Now it's Garay. Laid off by Ryan. Here's Coa Santos. Musu Landry for Abdul Zane. Off by Mogul. Back for Chica. 3 minutes past the hour mark here at Lynn Family Stadium. 10 minutes since Louisville made it a 1-0 game. Now looking to hold on to that and add to it. Zach Ryan. Gonna be Louisville's possession.
Going to be interesting to see how Loudoun go about creating opportunities to get themselves back into this game. Hopkins, who was probably one of their most attacking threats in that first half, find himself a little bit isolated on the right-hand side of the pitch in the flanks. He's not really been involved in the second half so far. Very few touches. If he can find himself drifting centrally and picking up the ball in central areas like he was early in the first half, I think they have an opportunity to get back in this game. But a little bit quiet in the attacking aspects of the game so far in the second half for Loudoun United.
And Ryan Martin felt they would have to be brave on a night like this, exploit some of the lack of pace on that back line for Louisville, whether it's up, back, and throughs, whether it's being aggressive on those points of turnover and transition in the midfield. And we saw at times in the first half they did just that. They picked up a turnover in the midfield. They pressed hard at the back line. Their speed was able to get them in behind for some chances. Just hasn't quite come off the same way in this second half for Loudoun.
Yeah, and those possession stats have started to balance out a little bit now, with Louisville creeping up to 48% and Loudoun reducing that percentage now to just 52%. So you can see as the game's gone on, the goal has obviously changed momentum a little bit and allowing Louisville City now to build some confidence and momentum in terms of sustaining possession of the ball, but also converting chances.
Midweek game coming up on Wednesday for Louisville against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, but an international friendly next weekend against Atlante. You can visit their website for more information. Second international friendly of the year. Lost against FC Kaiserslautern 2-1. Great night that was for the fans. Showcase some of the younger talent for this Louisville side. Ray Serrano peels away and now finds Mushagalusa. Lancaster running into space with Mushagalusa. Battling Santos, goes down and wins the corner for Louisville. Or not, they call goal kick. Mushagalusa surprised as well.
I thought that should have been a corner kick, but it's good defending there from Santos. Mushagalusa, very aggressive, driving forward. If he was able to get past Santos, if he looked to the back post, Winder was there completely all alone. But Santos did well in that 1v1 battle to win the ball from Mushagalusa.
Tosh battling Leggett. Tosh is come away from that battle victorious.
Yeah, what he may lack for speed, he has 2 yards ahead in the brain. He anticipates, he's in a good position, he's able to get his body across in front of Leggett so it doesn't turn into a foot race, and he actually wins the free kick because Leggett's pulling on his arm to try and gain an advantage. So that's the experience that Tosh brings to this back line. He's able to make some dangerous situations look very unthreatening by the way he's able to anticipate and position himself well.
200th appearance for Lou City in regular season or postseason play for Sean Tosh. Second to do that after Paolo Del Piccolo, who's available on the bench tonight. Tosh came into the day 7th in league history in minutes, 13th in league history in appearances. What a career he's had in USL. Championship with Rochester in 2015, 2 titles with Louisville in 2017, 2018. First team all-league for 3 straight seasons running, 2020, 2021, and 2022, and perhaps on his way again, having not missed a minute this season for Louisville, anchoring a back line that has been the best in the league in terms of goals allowed and clean sheets. Not enough that Danny Cruz could say about him, earning the armband this year, taking his leadership to a different level as he continues to age and, well, like you mentioned, maybe he lacks the speed he once had, maybe he lacks some of the physical attributes, but makes up for it between the ears and with what's in his chest behind the ribs. Ticking like a clock for this Louisville side. And that clock does continue to tick. In the 70th minute, Louisville holding on to this 1-0 lead. Comes awkwardly off the backside of Sharpie. Now it's Zach Ryan, who they've kept in check tonight. Team leader with 8 goals. Has 2 assists as well for Loudoun. Nearly silent so far this evening. All the way back for Jackaman. When this Louisville side needs to go in lockdown mode, it's hard to get anything past them.
Yeah, you need creative players who have the ability to take players on it. We saw Zane matched up on this side of the field a couple of minutes ago, and he opts to play the pass backwards rather than trying to be positive and take the defender on 1v1 and create something for his team. He takes the safe option, and really you need players in the attacking third who have that creativity, that willingness to run at defenders, take them on, use the agility that you have to create opportunities. And I think in the wide areas so far, Loudoun have been lacking in that aspect.
Mushagalusa, a nifty turn, little nutmeg on it. Looking ahead to Lancaster. Giannis Learman has been outstanding tonight defensively for Loudoun. Gets in the way of another through ball toward Lancaster.
Yeah, he's done a good job of stopping the success that Mushagalusa's having down this left-hand side of the flank, because Mushagalusa's done a good job of beating his man, but he's not been able to connect the final pass because Leardham's done a good job of covering for Santos.
Garay call for the foul after the giveaway.
Yeah, there's often that frustration that players have after you give possession of the ball away. You're so eager to go and win it back. Sometimes you can be a little bit overzealous in the tackle and not giving away possession.
Brief shout for a handball from the Louisville players. Didn't seem like much there. Play continues, and it's back at the feet of Tosh. Perez.
I don't feel like it's been that difficult a night for Tosh tonight.
Rarely is it ever.
So in control. Being challenged that.
Serrano looking for Lancaster. I get the sentiment. He hasn't been challenged much tonight, but even when he is challenged, always rises to the occasion. Winder tried to turn. Lachika on his back.
Loudoun just haven't done a good job of getting the ball in behind Louisville City's defense and making the defenders have to turn and face their own goal and defend. Everything's been fairly nice and in front of them where they've been able to control things. I think they need to do something a little bit different. They have two strikers up top. Maybe they need to try to play in behind and allow Louisville City's defense to drop a little bit deeper, and then they can sustain possession of the ball higher up the field like they did in the first half. But so far, it's been very dominant of Louisville City, having the ball in and around the halfway line and aggressively putting counter-attack, attack after attack onto Loudoun's defense.
Played through by Perez, what a ball. Lancaster goes down. That might be a red. It'll be a free kick for Louisville. Was it a denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity? Will this card be red? No card has been shown yet. We'll give you a chance to judge for yourself.
Great pass here from Perez and great movement from Lancaster. I think it's just a little bit clumsy from Leardham. I don't think there's any intent to really injure or foul. It's just a little bit clumsy defending.
It is a yellow card brought to you by World of Beer. I'm with you. It wasn't nasty in the challenge, but Lancaster was in alone had he not been taken down.
He was in, but I don't think Lancaster's touch was clean enough that he was going to finish on his second touch. I think that he probably would have, got a shot off, but had it been a clean touch and he was about to bury it in the corner of his second touch, I would have said, yeah, closer to a red card. But I don't think he had great possession of the ball under control after that first touch.
He tried to plead his case.
Albeit he got fouled, so it couldn't be as clean as he would have liked, but I think it was just a little bit clumsy there from Learman.
John Maddow saw it the way you saw it. Either way, it's a free kick in a dangerous spot for Cameron Lancaster. We've seen him score from here before in this uniform.
McCabe's been lethal from dead ball situations tonight. You can see the confidence in his approach.
Fifth third bank free kick. McCabe is vacated. This is going to be Lancaster.
The goal scoring centre back Tosh is up there also.
Lancaster goes for a goal and it's saved by Jackman.
He did everything right. Goalkeeper just read the direction it was going, made it look fairly straightforward in the save, but the heat's turning up on this back line for Loudoun.
The way both of these teams responded after Louisville went up 1-0, it seems like it's more likely Louisville goes ahead 2-0 than it is Loudoun brings it back level.
I've been impressed with McCabe in the middle of the park tonight. I think he's done a good job of always being an option to receive the ball and switch the point of attack, and he's also done very well at finding little pockets to intercept passes when Loudoun have tried to penetrate. Gibson's been the player who's done that frequently for this team, and I think maybe the early changes was because maybe you can't have McCabe and Gibson out there at the same time. They both have similar skills and attributes in the center of the park, and maybe it's a little bit too defensive an approach, but I think McCabe's had a solid performance tonight.
Expected goals don't necessarily paint the whole picture, but it's 0.24 for Loudoun. 6 shots, 2 on target. Nothing has really been all that troublesome for Oliver Zemla since the strike from distance by Jackson Hopkins in the early going. Zane delivers a ball. The header misses target.
And I think that's a hopeful delivery. If you look at it, he has so much space in front of him to be positive and attack and get higher up the pitch before he delivers that pass. He's trying to whip it from way outside the 18-yard box, which is a really tough delivery. I think Zane needs to believe in himself a little bit more. Like, be more aggressive. If you're a wide player, have the ability and the confidence to try and take players on. I think that's an area that he can improve on.
Serrano looking ahead for Perez.
Good anticipation from Zane there. Perez was trying to make the run in behind, but he was well positioned to deal with it. One possession and found his midfielder.
Koa Santos got in behind Mushagalusa. Did well to work back defensively. It's kept alive by Wesley Leggett.
Strong tackle there from Leggett. Still time for Loudoun to get a goal in this game. 15 minutes and there's only a 1-goal margin. As comfortable as Louisville City may have been in this second half, the game's still fairly tight.
And here's Zane trying to make that happen, plays it dangerously across. El Medkar couldn't get to it.
If Leggett just had a little bit more belief in that moment, was making a hard run at the back post, he would have had a tap in. It's a good ball there from Zane.
That gives Loudoun something to hang their hat on. Sparks some confidence in the attack. It's back out to Zane, fronted by Perez toward the back post. And Leggett again, a step too slow in getting there.
Not bad delivery there, his right foot from Zane, but that's the situation where I want to see him get on the ball, short touches on the ball, make the defender start backpedaling, take him on, and then deliver balls into the box with his left foot.
Louisville wants to put this one away. Wilson Harris, fresh legs, comes on for Cam Lancaster. Subs brought to you by Fortna. And Lancaster left his mark on this one. 53rd minute, second goal of the season. A relatively small number for him, given his history in this league. Maybe it's the one that starts to open the floodgates. Louisville clinging still to that 1-0 lead, courtesy of Lancaster.
I'm sure he would have liked to come off the field with 2, but if the 1 goal he gets turns out to be the winning goal, I'm sure he'd be happy.
As a striker, you want to come off with 2 or 3 or 4, but you're happy with the 1, especially if it's the difference maker tonight. And you can head to Twitter to vote on tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. Poll will be open for the next 10 minutes, so vote now. Twitter.com/Loose City. Your options are Wes Sharpie, Niall McCabe, or Cameron Lancaster.
Probably the first time in the second half we've mentioned Hopkins' name is for a petulant foul in the center of the park. I feel like they could really have some success if he's able to drift more centrally rather than stay isolated in those flanks.
Sent long to Mushagalusa. Jackaman comes out confidently to meet it. Sends it clear for a throw-in.
Good anticipation there from Jackaman to be out his line, off his line there. Almost playing like a sweeper.
Played through for El Medkar. El Medkar delivers, cleared by Sharpie. El Medkar has been a difference maker for Loudoun throughout the season. It was a bit surprising not to see him start tonight. It was only the second time this year he's come off the bench. 15 starts prior with 3 goals, 3 assists. Here he is now. El Medkar has a lane, has a go. Shout for handball. John Mano had a good view of it. Looked like it hit the chest of Tosh. Now Harris with fresh legs chases Chica all the way back. And Jackaman has to settle.
Not bad effort there from Medcar. Just shifty hips to create the opportunity for him to get half a yard to get a shot off.
Here's Zane.
Nice play from Zane.
Cuts in field, keeps his run going, taken down, free kick coming. And a yellow card to McKay, brought to you by World of Beer. It's right on the edge of striking distance for Loudoun. It'll probably be a go at goal. It might take something spectacular, but anything to get them going offensively now in the late stages.
Good play here from Zane. He does well battling for the ball on the wing, able to regain possession of it, driving forward, cuts inside. McCabe just clipping on his heels from behind, gives away the free kick.
Zane still down. He has probably been the best player on the field in the second half for Loudoun with what he's been able to create up and down that left side. Ever since El Medcar came on to join him, they've created some opportunities down this left flank. Louisville is not out of the woods yet. They have made their bones in 1-0 victories this season. This could be their 5th 1-0 finish of the year. Pardon me, their 6th. Already 5 1-0 wins in the back pocket. 5 of their 7 have been 1-0. They can make it 6 of 8.
It's an awkward distance here because to line it up for somebody else to head it, it's not that big a distance, and then it's still kind of far away from goal to have a direct shot also.
El Medcar back post, and they earn a corner out of it.
Loudoun was actually in a good position there. He could have side-footed it on target, tried to be unselfish and lay it across goal for one of his teammates to finish, but that stingy Louisville City defense.
After the free kick, El Medcar launches the corner. It was Learman who tried to rise and meet it. Now Tosh, a foot race. He's taken down awkwardly by Hopkins. And it will be a yellow card for Jackson Hopkins, brought to you by World of Beer.
Smart defending there from Tosh again. If you look as he approaches the ball, he could easily dive in here as well, and it's a 50-50 for who's going to go by the free kick, but he just gets his body in front of Hopkins so that Hopkins can't get any connection with the ball, knowing that he's going to draw the free kick. That's experience there from Tosh.
And Louisville fans, 2023 ticket packages still available now. The next home match is this Wednesday against Pittsburgh. Remember, $2 beer, $2 dog night, and bucket hat night from 6:30 to 7:30. Bring your family and friends to Lynn Family Stadium. Tickets available at lousecity.com/tickets.
This last 10 minutes is really about being switched on mentally and staying organised for both of these teams. Loudoun in search of chasing the game, but for Louisville City in terms of not conceding, you can see now a lot of fatigue starting to kick in the players' body language, just how they're moving when they're transitioning to defence, but also when they're in possession, the ball plays a little bit sloppier, everything's a little bit slower, and it's often the last 10 minutes of games when players get more fatigue is when goal-scoring opportunities come around.
Winder battles in the corner. He has come on as a key component of this midfield. Elijah Winder. 5th start now this season, 2022's comeback player of the year in USL Championship. His brother has gone on now to Benfica. Winder brought it down awkwardly and is called for the foul. Other games going on now around the league. New Mexico and Detroit are scoreless in the 80th. Monterey Bay, El Paso scoreless in the 38th. Vegas, Birmingham scoreless in the 8th. So not much by the way of goals around the league right now. 8 teams in action across 4 games. And Cam Lancaster's in the 53rd right here is the only goal to show for.
Dia there, a missed time header, and Hopkins just unable to connect that pass.
Here is Hopkins with another chance at it. Connects this time with El Medcar. Out wide for Coas Santos. Over the top, misses Leggett. Zane too slow in retrieving on the backside, but it's won back by Landry in the midfield.
Those deeper crosses really have a fairly low conversion rate. I think that Loudoun just need to be a little bit more patient in their build-up in the final third.
Some nutmeg from Zane, gets by Serrano, delivers centrally. Leggett shot is blocked by El Medcar. Another chance at it, steered away by Amadou Dia. And now from distance, it's blocked this time by Wilson Harris.
And there's Zane showing what I was asking for him more of in the second half. Taking players on, getting closer to the byline, and then cutting back those low-driven deliveries, creating opportunities for his team. It's a great opportunity there for Loudoun, but so many Louisville City players behind the ball, making it really difficult for them to convert.
Paolo Del Piccolo on for Niall McCabe. Final sub of the evening for Louisville, brought to you by Fortna. So Del Piccolo now joins out there Sean Tosh, the only two players in Louisville's history to appear in 200 games or more.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal accomplishment. You're talking about experience. You have 400 appearances between two players on the field. Is pretty phenomenal in the USL Championship.
So that's 400 plus just in a Louisville uniform, don't forget. You've got Del Piccolo, who has been around before then with Phoenix and Charlotte. He's sixth in USL history with 244 appearances coming into the night, make it 245. And for Tosh, 222 tonight. Quick math, what is that, 467 between those two guys?
Almost 500 appearances, 500 professional appearances between two players is a lot of experience.
And now on the Loudoun side, that'll be all tonight for Zane. Jeremy Garay also came off. Played over the top here. Ryan tried to sneak in behind.
Not a bad idea there from Landry, playing the balls over the top. Ryan making the diagonal run from outside to in.
Graham Jones and Jace Clark, who came on. Winder looks long. Jackaman has it. Tonight's the Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match is Cam Lancaster. His goal in the 53rd minute. The difference right now. Louisville needs to go 4 more minutes plus stoppage time to get this across the finish line.
Zane's out the game now, but you saw on this left-hand side of the field for Loudoun, if they're able to get the ball into the final third and get the ball out to the wingers here and drive, and they've had the opportunity to get the balls into the box and create goal-scoring chances. There's still at least 5 minutes left to play. All they need is a little bit of quality from one of these opportunities, and they could find themselves level pegging it and leaving here with a tie tonight.
Landry. Leggett battling Jones there for support, now taken down by Tosh. This is a dangerous spot for a wide free kick at this juncture of the match for Loudoun.
Yeah, I think they have to take their time and look for quality in this delivery into the box. See if they can steal an equalizer going into the last 5 minutes of the game.
Just a second appearance of the year for Graham Jones, now off the bench. 6th appearance for Jace Clark. With some of the injuries they've had, Loudoun, this is where the depth rears its ugly head sometimes. Having to turn to some of the young kids in big key moments, but that's also where they grow up the quickest. Now Medcar will deliver toward the back post, headed away by Tosh. And the offside flag came up as well.
Great defensive header there from Tosh.
In the live table, Louisville remains in 4th, but their situation changes a bit. They'd be 2 points back of Charleston, 3 points back of Pittsburgh, 5 back of Tampa Bay, with a game in hand on all of those teams. Although sitting below Louisville right now, Memphis 1 point behind with a game in hand, so Memphis could bypass Louisville. And Loudoun came into the night in 8th place, in control of that final playoff spot. They would no longer be in control of that spot. FC Tulsa has slid above the playoff line with 19 points through 18 matches after a 1-0 win earlier tonight over Indy. And Loudoun has those same 19 points as Tulsa, but in 20 matches, so on points per game, they drop below FC Tulsa into 9th position.
Yeah, you can see how Tulsa are gradually turning things around, picking up points, both at home and on the road. Of course, they came here to Louisville not so long ago, were able to walk away with 3 points. And since then, the momentum has shifted for them a little bit more belief in the team. Started to perform a little bit better.
And a big week coming up now for Loudoun. If they can't find a way to get a result in the next 90 seconds plus stoppage time, quick turnaround against Detroit on Wednesday. And that's a team that is right there in that playoff mix, Detroit. Free kick on the way for Louisville, and Serrano is left shaken up. Yellow card was shown to Daniel Chica, brought to you by World of Beer.
Looks like he just clashes heads with him from the back here. Serrano, Chico.
Detroit is now losing on the road against New Mexico. So it could be 2 teams coming off of losses on Wednesday. Loudoun visiting Detroit. Again, Loudoun currently 3 points clear of Detroit, though Detroit has 2 games in hand. And then next weekend for Loudoun at home against an Orange County team that is near the bottom of the West, but they've been better of late. 3 wins in a row for Orange County. So a big week here for Loudoun. Not starting off the way you'd hope so far. It will have 5 minutes of stoppage time, brought to you by the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport to try and salvage something late on. Will it be a 6th 1-0 win of the season for Louisville? Serrano fires it off of the shins of Elijah Winder. This would be their 6th 1-0 win of the 8 wins they have this year, Louisville. It'll be their 9th clean sheet overall. All 9 belong to Oliver Zemla, who with 17 games remaining is only 6 clean sheets shy of the single season USL record. If he continues, that is going to fall very, very hard, that record. Jones called for the foul. Brought down Perez. All the substitutions that Danny Cruz has made tonight in some way have helped this team to the positive. Perez has created opportunities in this second half. His double change in the first half, Serrano has been creative. Mogul has battened down the hatches in the midfield. Let's push the right buttons.
And of course, it's the head coach's job to make decisions and win games. And when the 2 players came out after 30 minutes, you know, it'd be interesting to see what pushed Danny Cruz to make that decision. But at the end of the day, it's worked out. The team has turned around at a better performance in the second half. It looks as though they may walk away with the 3 points, although it's not over yet. I don't want to get too optimistic. There's still 3 minutes remaining on the clock, but sometimes head coaches have to make tough decisions that the players may not like at the time. And looks like it's proved to be a good decision in the end here for Danny Cruz. I don't think it was the most emphatic performance from Louisville City tonight. I think there was still a lot of wasted chances in the final third, and there was long periods of the game where they were not dominating possession. But they found a way to get the job done tonight.
2 more minutes to be played. For a while now, Chris, it hasn't really felt like Loudoun would find a goal in this one. Expected goals, 0.51, without a shot on target in this second half.
Yeah, we spoke about Hopkins, how active and involved he was in the first half. In this second half, there's really just been a deflation for Loudoun. They've not been able to really connect anything or do anything threatening it in the second half. I don't think we've had to call Semler's name too many times at all regarding making saves. They definitely put up a good fight in the first half, level pegging, but this second half has been very dominant for Louisville City.
You could say it was more than level pegging in the first half. Loudoun controlled so much of that game in terms of the possession, in terms of the territory. Amadou Dia did pick up a yellow card, brought to you by World of Beer for some time wasting in there. Wilson Harris hasn't had much to do since he's come on. Gave chase there. Final minute of play before these fans head home happy after an hour weather delay. Chance to punctuate his 200th Louisville appearance. Sean Tosh with a victory. Has been stout defensively. Risen to meet a number of headers. Won a few 1v1s. Another masterclass in seeing a game out for Louisville. Just a few seconds now. All eyes on John Matos, the referee. Down to the corner. Is there one more chance for Loudoun to bring it up the field? Brought down by Almedkar. Harris called for the foul, shown a yellow, brought to you by World of Beer. Have to figure this is the last chance for Loudoun, if it's even allowed. Sending everybody forward. Jackman is trying to position himself now for the free kick, waving everybody into the attack.
Everybody's on the edges of their seats because anything can really happen in this last attack. It'll either be the final whistle or it'll be the equalizer.
No in between at this point. 96 minutes and it comes down to this. Jackman launches, headed away by Dia, out into space. Chasing ahead, it's Serrano. There's your final whistle. A 9th clean sheet, a 6th 1-0 victory, and Louisville City FC takes all 3 points tonight, taking down Loudoun 1-0 on a Cam Lancaster goal. Tail is all this time. Lancaster on the score sheet, and 3 points for Louisville.
Yeah, it wasn't the most emphatic performance tonight for Louisville, but they found a way to get the job done. Again, defense was stellar, kept a clean sheet. We're not really threatened that much, especially in the second half. Lancaster found himself on the score sheet. Louisville find themselves step by step climbing up the table towards that first place.
A clean game calls for a healthy, clean smile. That was a Mortensen Family Dental clean sheet for Lou City. Getting your money's worth this year for the sponsorship. 9 clean sheets for Lou City. And that win also means you can head to any participating Louisville area Wendy's tomorrow to get a free small Frosty, no purchase necessary. Your final score brought to you by Gorski Law Office. Louisville 1, Loudoun 0. Celebration tonight after an hour delay for these Louisville fans. They waited, they were rewarded, and we come back in just a moment to wrap things up from Lynn Family Stadium.
Fresh produce is the best produce. That's why at Kroger, we invest in local farmers to bring you the freshest seasonal picks. So no matter how you shop, your local produce always tastes as fresh as it gets. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Boost by Kroger Plus is more than worth it.
Give it to me, I'm worth it.
With 2 times fuel points and free delivery, you can save up to $1,000 per year. Try Boost free for 30 days. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
It's game time, baby. Are you ready? 'Cause I'm ready. It's game time.
Welcome into postgame presented by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. Louisville 1, Loudoun nothing. Another big 3 points for Lou City. They keep chugging along under the radar just a bit, but another big 3 points for a team poised to make a second half run this season, sitting in 4th at their halfway mark after their 17th game of the season tonight. Take a look now at highlights from their victory. It all came down to the one moment for Cameron Lancaster. Got it done in the 52nd minute.
Yeah, we spoke about Lancaster. He just came out in the second half a little bit more tenacious. And here we see him creating opportunity here for Mogul, who's making the run in behind. Keeper does well here to get down low at his near post and push it away. But Lancaster's attitude at the beginning of the second half was just a little bit different to what we saw in the first half. And he got his rewards at the end of it.
Exactly. It was that chance that led to the corner that led to this.
McCabe with a great delivery at the near post. Sharpie guides it towards goal. Keeper makes a great save, and Lancaster just finds himself in the right place at the right time at the back post. You can see he's the first one, quickest to react, taps into the back of the net, gives his team that all-important goal that gives them the 1-0 victory at the end of the night.
His second goal of the season, to give them the win tonight. They were looking for more beyond that. The scoreline would never change again, but it was Louisville looking for a second rather than Loudoun really ever looking for a tying goal.
McCabe again with those dangerous deliveries from wide areas and from set pieces. Good defending on this occasion here. Heads it over the crossbar.
Loudoun really never made any inroads to come back in this game. Any chances they had came down the left side through Zane. A couple of good deliveries in, but nobody ever got on the end of it. Again, as it wore on, it seemed more likely Louisville would go up 2-0 than Loudoun ever leveling things at 1.
Great pass here from Perez. Lancaster making a run in behind. Tries to bend the free kick into the far corner. Keeper Reddit was able to gather it comfortably.
A couple of opportunities he could have had to make it 2 or 3 to his tally tonight, but he'll take the 1 and they'll take the 3 points. Final stats brought to you by Pave Masters.
Yeah, you could see the possession balanced out a little bit towards the end of the game. Loudoun still getting the upper hand, but definitely in the second half, Louisville City were a lot more dominant, created more goal-scoring opportunities, converted the chance that they had, were able to control the game.
It's a quick turnaround for both of these teams. Louisville stays at home this Wednesday night against Pittsburgh, a rematch of the scoreless draw from last week in Pittsburgh. And Loudoun goes on the road against Detroit, a difficult one to be sure for Loudoun, hoping to respond then from tonight's loss. Well, that does it for us. Louisville 1, Loudoun nothing. They've been trying to make this charge. Players are getting healthy. The time seems ripe for Louisville to go on this late season charge, sitting in 4th place, a 6-1-0 win, a 9th clean sheet, 3 points tonight. Our broadcast partner, Chris Nurse, the crew that makes this possible. I'm Joe Malva saying good night from Lynn Family Stadium, where Louisville takes it 1-0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.